What's up, everybody? This is Harry Bernard Taylor with my man Christopher Burton.
People's Podcaster.
And tonight we're gonna go over NXT. We're gonna go over NXT, what we just watched, and after that, Chris has a question that he wants that everybody he wants people to chime in on. So we're gonna put the link up right after we go over these NXT results. So we're gonna put a link up, and hopefully some people want to come on. If not, put your comments, put your questions
Put
in
it
the
in the
comments.
description. Yeah,
Yeah,
because
and let us
I
know
posted the question.
let us know what you think, man. Let us know what you think about these wars between WWE, AEW, Impact, Ring of Honor, which just is off the charts right now. New Japan,
Literally
so
off the charts.
yeah, it's off the charts. So let us know what you think about all this. And like I said, come on, and have a conversation with us. We definitely
Yeah,
want to get your input because Chris want to know what's up. I mean, Chris want to know why are we having the war out here, and what's the difference between the organizations? Okay,
yeah.
so Chris, first let's start off with this NXT tonight, man.
All right, man. Let's get it.
NXT. They just got finished with War Games, so we're coming off War
Yeah.
Games, and we're not going to talk about War Games. We'll talk about that at a later time. I know we're getting a little ahead, but right here we have Von Wagner versus Cal O'Reilly, and Von Wagner
In
was
the cage. In the
yeah,
cage.
in a cage, and Cal he demanded that the cage stay up because Von attacked him at War Games after
Oh, yeah.
their
War
match.
games. Yep.
So Cal was pretty ticked, and he said he wanted the cage to stay up, so he wanted to get his revenge in the cage. So we
Yeah,
saw
he
this
did.
match, Chris. Hey man, Von Wagner was a big guy. That's the only thing I can really say about him.
Like I said, he reminds me. Like I said, he reminds me of the way he looks and everything. He reminds me of if Edge was 7 foot or something.
Right.
He looked like a big caveman with that big long forehead and everything.
Right.
But I mean, the guy, this is his first year in the business, man.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got a lot to learn, man. But I mean, he took it to Kyle, man. He took it to him. It was a fight.
Yeah. And this right here is Cal. Cal is on the Cal. His contract came up, so he extended his contract, and it went extended his contract, and I think this
I think he
last
day
night
to
that we
day.
will see Cal.
Yeah, he was day to day. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's just take it like this. I mean, Cal, he might have been a little distracted on what he's gonna do after this because, like, I expected Cal to win this match. Cal destroyed Von in on War Games when Von tried to get him from behind after their tag team match. Cal destroyed Von Wagner. So,
Yeah.
but in this match, Von put it together. Cal pretty much had the advantage for a while. But Von used his strength, man. He used his strength
He really did.
To get over on Cal O'Reilly, and I gave the match 3.5. What about you?
I gave it a 3.
Okay, 3.
I gave it a 3.
Well, all right. Well, we're gonna start off. We're gonna get that match 3.5, man. I thought it was a little bit better than a 3. So 3.5 from the Straight Up Wrestling Show. Brian Breaker came out, man. Had a face-to-face segment with Michael Bivens and the Creed brothers, and Michael Bivens, he was talking all kind of noise, man, and talking about who's the junior champ, the junior heavyweight champ. I mean, the cruiserweight champion. His man.
Yeah.
And he says the weight limit is off. Who's the cruiserweight champion now?
Roderick Strong.
Yeah, Roger Strong. So he's talking about Roger Strong. Roger Strong want to shoot for you. He said Roger Strong is the champion of NXT. So that's the way he sees it. And, so he's trying to build up Roger Strong, who we already know, built up, a very strong competitor. I mean, very, very good athlete, man. And, I believe he'll be a pretty good challenge to Braun Breaker. But I think Braun, this kid, strong enough to take it. So we'll see what's going to happen there. So,
yeah, I say this, man. If they're gonna take the weight off, they need to change that title. They need to change that name.
Right.
They need to change that name.
Which one?
Cruiserweight. It ain't a cruiserweight no more.
Cruiserweight, yeah, they need to change it because it won't be a cruiserweight title. Because
No.
if Braun wins that thing, man, Braun's definitely not a cruiserweight.
No.
and especially if the Big Boy, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, when Big Boy went for it, Jones, Odyssey Jones.
Yeah, Odyssey
Jones. I wanted to call him Kwame because you know he always wearing the polka dots and all that stuff, man. So I was gonna call him Kwame. So, but Braun Breaker, man, and Braun Breaker talking about earlier this week. Braun Breaker said he's the one who came up with the idea of them calling him Braun Breaker. I don't believe that one. I do not believe that because he would say that from the get go. So, I guess they feel they're getting backlash and everybody out there, I mean, is calling him Steiner, and because they know he's a Steiner. This is Rick Jr. You might as well just call him Rick Jr. But
what's so crazy, man?
Bron Steiner.
I mean, he's Rick's son, but when he talk, he sound like Scott.
He sound like Scott. Yes, he sound like Scott. Yes, but you can call him Rick or you can call him Scott. Either way. I mean, because that's what he is, man. He's a Steiner all the way. Steiner. So, neither one of us believe that he came up with that Braun Breaker name. But I give that segment a thumbs up, Chris.
Thumbs up too. Yeah.
All right, man. The Creed brothers versus Briggs and Jensen, man. The Creed brothers, I like these guys. I really do like them. But this is the first time I've seen them really get tested on NXT. Yeah. Usually, man, they just dominate. They just dominate their competition or whatever. But Briggs and Jensen are huge. So they had a little bit of problem in there.
And then Imperium came out. That didn't help them out either.
What's that now?
Imperium came out there too.
Oh yeah, Imperium came out there, and you had who's the other guys?
The young grizzled veterans at commentary.
Yeah, young grizzled veterans out there, man, on commentary. So that distraction and all that didn't help out. And when the Creed brothers did, because Briggs, man, Briggs got in there, the big one, the big one. He got in there, and he was destroying. I mean, he was pretty much dominating the match. And then when Jensen got in there, Jensen, he kept it going, and he got a hold of Jensen and the two young guys, man. The Creed brothers was able to a lot of those amateur moves that they was able to put together on Jensen, and they was able to take over the match. But like you said, man, they started paying attention to Imperium and the grizzled young veterans and all that, and it changed up the whole thing, man. And Briggs and Jensen got the win. But the match, it was okay. It wasn't that great.
I give it a 2.5.
Matches, huh?
I gave it a 2.5.
That's exactly what I gave it, 2.5. So then we had the Duke Hudson segment right after that with Cameron Grimes.
Yo, man, going to the moon.
Yeah, straight to the moon. Duke Hudson looked ridiculous, man. He come out there, we know he got his hair cut. I mean, he lost the match, and he should have legitimately just let Cameron Grimes cut his hair. You lost the match, man.
Man, there's only been a few times where people legitimately let somebody cut their hair.
I know. So he tried to get out of the ring. Cameron grabbed him, gave him pretty much like a mohawk. I'm pretty sure the guy haven't finished cutting all the rest of his hair, which he should have. But he come out there with a blonde wig on, man. I mean, a blonde little mullet type wig type thing. He looked ridiculous, man. Yeah, that was and then we had our man Cameron Grimes come out there, and Cameron was just, he's talking and all that. But man, only thing I was about to give this thing a thumbs down, but Cameron Grimes made me laugh, man.
That's your man. That's your man.
Only thing would have been better if when Duke was leaving the ring, he was walking up the ramp. If Cameron Grimes would have said, "Kiss my grits," now that would have set it off. But still, I give the segment a thumbs up, man. I give it a thumbs up because Cameron came out there and he pumped it up a little bit more. But he should have hit him with that "Kiss my grits," man. So hey, his little flow reference, man. His Alice segment. It didn't get in there, man, but I was looking forward to that. So, what'd you get at, man? You get a thumbs up?
I give thumbs up, man. I give thumbs up, man.
Yeah, it was hilarious, man. And Cameron Grimes, man, he's kind of like, he's one of the faces of NXT.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I mean, I'm glad they're keeping that going because he's one of these people that you really look forward to seeing. Okay, Carmelo Hayes, man, versus Dexter Lumis. Lumis on the next match. Man, Dexter looked real good in this match, man. He looked really
Man,
good.
Dexter, I ain't gonna lie, Dexter always look good, man.
Yeah,
I can't even.
Dexter's talented, man. And you had Carmelo Hayes' friend Trent talking about, oh, he's hurt up and everything like that. He just didn't want to face Dexter.
No, he didn't. He didn't want to face. Man, would you want to face that Joker?
Heck no, man. Dexter something, man. Dexter is tough. You don't know if you hurt him. I mean, anytime you think you on top of him, that you have the advantage that you done taking it over the top on him, man. Bam, he pops you in the mouth. I mean,
and like you said, you don't know when he hurt and when he ain't hurt because he shows no emotion. So I wouldn't want to wrestle nobody like that, man. I just couldn't do it.
Exactly. I gave that match a 3.5, man. It was a pretty good match.
Yeah, 3.5. Yeah, 3.5.
Okay. All right, man. So next, man, we had Toxic Attraction. I think this is the next match. Toxic Attraction versus Valentino Royce, and I don't know who that other person was that she teamed with. A friend of mine gave me called me, and I had to answer the phone. My best friend from high school, so I ended up talking to him.
Ulissa Leon.
Okay, Lisa Leon.
Ulissa
Leon. Okay, but let's put it this way: they lost. I gave the match 2 stars, man. It wasn't that good of a match.
It really wasn't.
I like the girls' looks, and I mean the way they look and everything, man. But as far as the tag team goes,
I think they're gonna be a flash in the pan, man.
They are, man. They are. And I gave it 2 stars, man. And then Mandy come out there talking. Mandy is boring on the mic. Mandy Rose is boring, man. I mean, that was a boring segment. Just put it that way.
It was.
I'm just like, man, that whole. So I give that a thumbs down. I'm sure you do too. Thumbs down for what she done on the mic, and 2 star for that match. Okay, next, man, we hit and then Cora Jade come out there, which she should have stayed in the back, and Raquel come out there, to back her up. But Cora Jade, she needs to stay in the back. She need to go ahead and let her arm heal because I know her arm is hurt. It's still hurt from that fall she had the other night. If you haven't seen War Games, you need to check that out. The girl, she came off the top rope, and I guess she didn't land good, and bam, she pretty much hurt her arm.
Mm-hmm.
So that's next, man. We had Santos Escobar versus Zion Quinn. I didn't rate that match. That's the last one that I saw. Well, that was the last match. I didn't rate that match. But that Zion Quinn was pretty much dominating Santos, man. Overpowering him, man. Just
yeah, he was dominating, man. I gave that about a 3.5.
Yeah, me too. 3.5. I agree with you 100%. And Santos, when he finally got in his shots when he was able to get outside and then come back in, he started getting in his shots and he started getting he was able to roll Zion Quinn a little bit, and then Zion Quinn ended up over there by Santos' lady, or the lady who's supposed to be over their crew, but she gave Zion Quinn some brass knucks, man. So I'm just like, what's up with that? But Santos ended up getting the win, didn't he?
Yeah,
he rolled him up, man, I think.
Escobar. Yeah,
Escobar ended up getting the win, man. But Zion definitely was gonna use them brass knucks. Man, he's sitting there, he looking at the lady, man. He's like, I think I'm gonna go ahead and use these.
Yeah, why not? You're gonna give them to me, I'm gonna use them, right?
Yeah, but he didn't get to use them. So I mean, when Santos find out what went down there, man, there's gonna be a little dissension there. But she does want Zion Quinn in the crew. She's been trying to get him in there, and she have a little fancy for him, man. She likes him and all that. But besides all that, man, all the other little segments they had at Riddle talking with MSK and all that, waste of time. And then they had, they had what was that? They had what's the girl, man? The girl who's supposed to be married to Dexter.
Oh, I forget her name, but I know.
Hartwell, Indy Hartwell.
Yeah, Indy.
That was a little waste of time. type thing too. But overall, man, it was a decent show. I mean, tonight it was a decent show.
It was decent.
Still,
it was decent.
Yeah, still a little too colorful for me, but you know, I can go ahead and give it. I can go ahead. About every match, Chris and I we pretty much rated except for one. Well, Briggs and Jensen, I think we went 2.5,
Yeah,
and we went a 3.
So what do you think? I said overall show was about a 3.5.
Yeah, let's go ahead and give it a 3.5 overall because of the laughing, and I mean, because you know they had a couple segments that were really funny. I mean, it pretty much like I say it wasn't a dead night. It was decent. It wasn't, you know, it's not something that I'd run out and pay for, but you know, as far as on TV, it was okay. It was okay, but you know, it's like I say, it's in NXT 2.0. I mean,
exactly.
Know, so yeah, 3.5 from the Straight Up Wrestling show. So now next, you know, go ahead, Chris, if you already done posted the link. If you haven't, go ahead and post the link, and we'll go ahead and get to your question, man.
I'm getting ready to do it right now because I need some answers, boy. I need some answers bad, boy.
Okay, Adam Cole versus Dexter Lumis. I love. Okay.
All right. So earlier today, I posed a question in the group, and I really want to get everybody's opinion on this, and we can even take it down to the indie scenes if you want to. All right. So
go ahead.
The question was basically, when it comes to wrestling organizations, why, as fans, why are we so brand loyal? And I give an example. What makes WWE better than AEW or Impact or New Japan or vice versa? We had some people chime in on the post. We had Michael King chime in, and he says, and I quote, "I think it's a style and story. I believe the talent on both rosters are phenomenal. People love characters they can associate with. And that's one of the ways people prefer one over the other."
Mm-hmm.
And he also went to say, some people are loyal to a brand and perceive another brand as an enemy. This causes them to dig their heels in. Acknowledging another product as good or enjoying it feels like if they are being disloyal or even wrong about the brand they've attracted themselves to. Most people hate being wrong, end quote. And then we had someone else, Ron Emerson Jr. He chimed in on it too. I quote, "To me, it's what's palatable. I like all styles, but I prefer better production. I like the quality, audio and video presentations. From there, it becomes talent. I like a lot of talent, but I am more invested in some talents than I am others. That applies to both indie and TV companies," end quote. But yeah, those are the two that basically really had something to say about it. Scott Larson asked what time we were going to go on, and I told him after NXT, which here we are. But
okay,
you know, I mean, I just don't. I just need to understand, what is it about? You know, what attracts you to a particular brand or a particular company that in some people's eyes, I don't want to say all, in some people's eyes, that's the be all end all. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Nothing else.
Yeah, but before we do that, man, I'm gonna go ahead and acknowledge, appreciate Brianna and my friend Avery for joining us tonight. And you know, before we get to the questions here, I mean the answers. What Michael King, I'm gonna go ahead and address that. I'm gonna go ahead and address Ron Emerson Jr. And Chris and I, we've talked about this over and over and over again, and we're gonna go ahead and talk about it again. And hopefully we're able to go over a lot of the points that we've been able to go over, because we've had very good discussions on this. But before that, man, you know, if you're on Facebook, hit that like, hit that share. If you're on YouTube, hit that like, share, that subscribe, and hit that notification bell. So, Chris, man, let's go ahead and hit what Michael King said. You know, Michael King said he thinks it's style and story. I believe the talent on both rosters are phenomenal. Yes, the talent on both rosters are phenomenal.
Yes.
And yeah, style and story. Um, we that's one thing the WWE over the years they pretty much Vince Senior has gotten the product. That's pretty much what he built that thing on was story, and so it was very heavy. I mean, his storylines got very heavy during the Attitude Era, but it was a lot like a soap opera. It was a lot like a soap opera. Before that, man, back in the rock and roll era we had, it was cartoonish. It was music, it was musical, and it was cartoonish, and and the big guys. It was some He-Man type things. And then he later on he went on. The company kind of got lost. Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, a lot of those guys got old. They left the place, and they pretty much didn't know what they wanted, where they wanted to go, and it got more cartoonish than it was before. And I mean, it was nothing serious about it. It was all cartoonish. I mean, so at like before that, man, that era before that, they had it was a little cartoonish, but they had they had the serious wrestling mixed in with that.
Oh yeah.
So now what you have now is they're having trouble. The WWE is having trouble trying to build storylines, or if they start a storyline, then they bounce away from it real quick. That storyline it goes away. So
or better yet, Vince just don't like it. Period. He's like, I don't care how good it may be out your mouth, but this is what we gonna do.
Right. He comes in, man. He just rips the strip up. He rips strips up before you even go out there. I mean, 30 minutes before the show. So. So that right there, man, it can turn people off because what attracted people to the WWE has changed dramatically in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
So, and
but I'm looking at it like this, man. I'm looking at it like this. Okay, like Michael said, story,
right,
and product. Dude, I can tell you right now. WWE is a good brand. I give them they are a good brand. They've been around for over 50 plus years or whatever. Long time.
Yeah.
You compare them to New Japan. Go story versus story. Athletes versus athlete. I gotta say, New Japan is heads above. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's how I look at it.
Right.
And I'm just like, and I go back and I look at WWE after watching New Japan. I'm just like,
yeah. I'm
but then like I said, you have fans that see AEW, nothing else. New Japan, nothing else. WWE, nothing else. And if you even try to compare one of those brands to an individual that's so brand loyal, man, they'd be ready to cut your throat.
There's no doubt about that.
And I'm just like, what is it that just makes you just want to die for that brand?
Yeah. It's a toxic situation. People are not going into wrestling. They're not going into wrestling like they were back in the day, where you went into wrestling as a wrestling fan and you went in there to see different talent in every territory that you saw. You went in there to see the talent and to evaluate the talent. Now, you have a situation where people are looking at wrestling, man, kind of like they maybe looking at football, looking at college football or college basketball. Where in college basketball, man, everybody, you either ACC, most people, if you involved with the ACC, you in the ACC. That's the way they look at it. That's number one. Back in the day, it was Big East, and that's all some people saw. And then you look at football, man, SEC. That's what some people see. That's all they see, or they see the Big Ten or whatever. So wrestling has gotten on that same plane, which it never should be on that same plane, because even though you have tag teams and all that, I mean, wrestling is an individual sport. The individuals is what dominates this thing. And I think something else that really hurts it, man. I think when you have factions, we went away. Wrestling has went away from the managerial type situations that they had.
Managers are no longer a factor.
Right.
They're basically like dinosaurs.
Yeah.
You have to read about them in history books.
Yeah.
What manager was.
What's the name call them coaches? AEW, they call them coaches. You know, and the ones that they have out there, man, it's not serious. They have former wrestlers, man, who's out of shape and just, you know, really don't bring anything to the table.
Just call it what it is. You talking about Arn Anderson? He needs to sit
in. Not just Arn. I mean, I'm not saying Tully's out of shape or anything like that. But
Tully in better shape than Arn.
I'm not. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying Tully's out of shape. Tully's in deep. And I mean, he's in decent shape. But the thing about it is, how much does Tully actually bring to the brand? How much does he actually bring to FTR? I mean, he's a presence and everything, but I mean, he's not overshadowing them. They're not really overshadowing him much. But I mean, he's not a Jim Cornette type person. You know, I mean, Jim Cornette, you couldn't mention the Midnight Express without thinking of Jim Cornette.
Of course.
I mean, that's how powerful it was. I mean, you know, when Paul Heyman, when he had the Dangerous Alliance, you know, he was Paul E. Dangerously at that time, but he had the Dangerous Alliance, man. His presence and his impact was just as great as Larry Zbyszko, as you know, Kevin Sullivan and the rest of the guys that was in Dangerous Alliance. You know, his impact and what he brought to the table was just as important. You know, what Paul Ellering brought to the Road Warriors didn't look right when they didn't have him, when they kicked him out of the group. So they had to get him back in real quick. Yeah. So, man, he was Legion of Doom, you know, with them. So, I mean, if you're going to bring somebody out there to be your manager, that's the kind of presence they should have. And, you know, I give props to that girl the other night. I give props to that girl, Larkin, Miss Larkin. Yeah. You know, she's a great presence with Caleb Crocker, man. She brings that to the table. Perry James with his you know, Zuka King and his tag team. Forgot the name of what that tag team that he had, those mask guys. But man, he brings that presence out there. Even Michael King, young Michael King. I mean, he comes out there. You can't disassociate him without King Enterprises, without without Brino, without AJ, you know, without Squeaks. And so I mean, he's there. He's part of that. And AJ McClure, when he's out there with him. So, you know, we don't have that no more. So that right there is part of the problem. So, I mean, I don't know, man. And then it's so many other things that you could throw in there. And then, you know, when I go back and I look at Impact, because you had the same situation here with Impact. You had a lot of fans who became Impact fans, and they couldn't stand WWE. Yeah. And they was Impact loyal, man. I mean, they was TNA loyal.
And now you know for a fact I did not like Impact at
all. I know you didn't. You never could get into it.
I tried.
Yeah, I did too, man. I did too. It never had any dawning on me, man. It never intrigued me. Nothing. I don't care what they did.
I mean,
you know, they brought some talent in there.
They brought talent in there, but they had Kurt, Sting, Booker T, all them boys. Yeah, the Dudley boys and all them. I'm like, I still can't get down with it.
Yeah. It just, man, and
I still can't. I just can't do
it. The crazy ring, and I mean that's the first thing I will say. The ring, man, turned me off when they come out there with that
rectangle ring
or whatever they had. You know, that 3-sided ring, just foolishness, man. I'm just like, that's not wrestling. What is this? So, but then, you know, I'm trying to look at it because, you know, they had some of the stars that we was used to seeing, and man, and then, you know, they left that ring. They got rid of it for about 2 years, and then they brought it back for 3 years at the end.
Yeah.
It was stupid. And they tried to bring Hogan in there and Eric Bischoff, and they tried to do what they did in WCW. It didn't work. But that was just a dumb thing, man. And now they got Impact, and Impact have some good, they got some good talent over there, man. Some people that I really like to see, man. I like Wes Briscoe, and I like some of the other people. I like some of the other talent over there in Impact.
Shout out to our buddy Wes.
Oh,
shout
yeah,
out. We definitely got to get him back on the show some
no
at
doubt.
some point.
I like some of the people over there in NWA Power. But man, it's hard to watch, especially now. If you go there, and there's some people there's a small group of people, because one thing get like 100,000 views all the time on Fight TV. I mean, every week that's what they get, like 100 to 109. That's what Impact average. That's a good bit of people. That's a good bit of people.
So somebody watching it.
They have a little small, following on the underground, and I think what's the name is probably half of that. NWA Power, they have half of that, and I think what's the name, Ring of Honor, they had like 70 to 80,000 people every week, but they have a small following too, and those people they watching what Ring of Honor is doing now. Ring of Honor, all they doing is showing old interviews and old school things. But people are still following that too. So there's people out there that's still down with them. And so, but those people will not veer from that. Yeah, I've done Ring of Honor. I've done some Ring of Honor segments on Straight Up Wrestling Show. I've covered that. And I see there's a number of people that come up and they watch that. And the numbers from those same people that watch that, they don't watch Chris and I, they don't watch our other shows. No. So I know if we get into if we had enough time and we could cover Ring of Honor, we could cover Impact, we would get even more viewers. But these people are gonna fall off when we talk about WWE or we talk about AEW.
Exactly.
So, and the same thing happens with AEW and WWE. Now there's times that we come on and we say something about the show, WWE, Raw, it sucked this week or whatever. And I know people, they just fall off. Hey, you talking about WWE? I might not ever watch this thing again. It's because they really pissed off. But we're laying it to you straight. If the show was garbage, the show was garbage. So
thank you. And see, that's one thing that kills me, man. I'm gonna tell you that straight up, man. How I'm trying to figure out how to say this, man, but ain't no PC to say it. Ain't no PC way to say it. So I'm gonna just be real.
Okay.
We as a society are so freaking soft. We are so PC. We can't take criticism. No doubt. We can't take criticism worth a damn. If you don't like the status quo, automatically you are public enemy number one because you spoke against the status quo.
Oh yeah.
See, I'm gonna say it like this. People like that, I wish you could just line them up and I could smack the hell out of them. I said it. And the views are spoken are not of Straight Up Wrestling. They are mine and mine alone. If you got a problem, DM me, find me. We can hash it out. Anyway, moving on. But but like I said, man, it's just like some people, and there are some fans are so toxic, like you said, they're just pro AEW, pro WWE, and nothing else, or New Japan, whatever, and nothing else exists except for that brand.
Yeah.
And then if you say something about that particular brand on our show, let's say if AEW or New Japan has a horrible show,
right?
We watch it, and I'm like, dude, this is very subpar. This show was straight up trash compared to what we know they can do. This show was garbage, and we're being straight up. Guess what? You public enemy number one.
Oh yeah,
because you done bash somebody's love. You done bash their brand. Why? Why you get butthurt? Are you getting a check? Are they paying you? Are you a sponsor? What is it? I mean, what are you, some kind of like founding member? What? I mean, help me understand this, because that
And the whole
just
thing about
pissed me off, man. It just pissed me
and
off.
the whole thing about it is, man, criticism is a good thing. I mean, wise anybody that's wise, a wise company, a wise man, a wise person,
Mm-hmm.
will take criticism and get better. So, a lot of people out here are people that's serious about it, that's going to watch the product and want it to get better. Now, we watch WWE and it's not right, and we criticize it. It's because we want it to get better, and we've
Mm-hmm.
seen it. We've seen it be better. So we want that thing to get better. It's just like, I mean, if I go through, which Chris and I, we have not done our show on SmackDown or Raw from this past Friday. We've both seen that, and I want to go over that, but we're not going to go over that tonight. But we'll go over that maybe tomorrow or something like that. But I'm looking at. I talked to Chris about Rampage, and I talked to him about Dynamite, how their ratings have started to fall.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that the wrestling is bad, but some of the things they're doing is not right. And some of the things they're not doing is a reason for the dissension, why people are falling away from it. There's a reason for that, because it needs to be changed. But then you have some people that, like I say, that follows that brand. Like I said, they don't want to hear it. It's the greatest thing in the world. It is the greatest thing in the world. There's nothing wrong with AEW. What the heck you talking about, man? AEW got all the talent, So I mean, so they're gonna bash the talent that's over there in the WWE and act like there's no talent over there, and say that AEW has all this talent, has more talent than WWE, because WWE is running these bad shows, and you're ignoring the talent over there. So. So people are actually, they're rating even though we rate the overall show,
Mm-hmm.
you still down in the wrestlers. You still down in, because when it boils down to it, a lot of times, the 80-90% of the time, it's not the wrestler's fault.
It's the agents.
It's the agents. It's the people that's behind the scenes. It's their fault. They're writing these awful shows, man, and they're putting them out there for people. And these wrestlers out there, they just come in and doing their jobs. And they hope they have a job next week, whatever, or tomorrow. So, I mean,
Because WWE, man, they are quick to cut your lifeline.
oh yes, no doubt.
They are quick, man. I mean, and I mean, they get all these people that write all these stories for these soap operas and award shows and all these daytime soaps and stuff or whatever. But here's the thing. None of them don't know nothing about the product, man.
Right.
That's the thing. They coming in blind. They be like, "Oh, a writer position. I'm tired of being a junior writer. I can be a writer." And they be like, "Okay, what do you know about the product?"
Right.
Huh?
And have no idea.
They be like, what do you mean? What I know? I just need to write stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
It'd be like, okay, it'd be like, okay, do you know who Drew McIntyre is?
Right.
Who? I'm like, and they hire people like that. And I'm just like, if they could find somebody, some honest to God, true talented writers,
right,
that knew just enough about the business and was at some point in time a fan of the business, that will make everything go so much better.
Yeah, that's true.
Versus just getting Joe Blow off the street with a degree in writing, creative writing, or whatever, that knows nothing about your product, nothing about your brand, and they be like, "Oh, I know Hulk Hogan. I remember Roddy Piper." They be like, "Oh, you're hired." And then they write 4 or 5 stories that make no sense whatsoever.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Brino I'm cracking up on Brino, man. He had me cracking up.
I know. That's all.
But Chris, I mean,
and stuff like that. See, that's stuff like that gets me. That makes me say, I can't watch Raw.
Yeah.
Because
But that's the whole thing about it is, I mean, when you look at, you think about Vince, okay? Vince, it's been said for years, he can't stand that word wrestling. He cannot stand that. So Vince don't want to have anything to do with people that actually know about the business. So I mean, anybody, like you said, anybody can go up there and say, I know about Hulk Hogan, I know about Roddy Piper, because everybody knew those names back in the day.
Exactly.
Okay, so yeah, I know about these guys. I heard about. I remember the Ultimate Warrior. I remember Ric Flair. I remember Wendy Richter. So that was coming from a time where everybody knew about these guys. So, but yeah, and they might know.
Hold on. Here you go, right there. Caleb Crocker. Caleb said, "I haven't been able to watch Raw in 6 years."
Wow, man, wow.
So what does that say?
Yeah. Says a lot, man. I mean,
matter of fact,
says all that needs to be said.
Caleb, if you want to come on the show, the link is in the on the page. If you want to come on, speak, whatever, come on in, man. Come on in.
Tiny Joe into the chat. Who said that, man? Did Brino say that?
No, that was Christian McCarter.
Okay.
But yeah, Caleb, if you want to come in, just click the link, come on in, and you can join the discussion. It's open to anybody. If anybody wants to jump in and open the discussion.
No doubt. But I mean, man, you look at somebody like Caleb, and man, I tried, Chris. I mean, because he's not the first person that said that, and over the years, you was asking me to go, to Raw with you, and they're coming and all that. You was telling me what was happening, and I would go on there and I would check out, see what was going on. But like everybody has seen, everybody has been seeing lately that everything that they do doesn't make sense. I've been saying that for a while now. Especially at least when Austin was there, everything they was doing, it made sense. But it seemed like the last 10 years or so, everything they do, man, doesn't make sense. They switch up in the middle of it. Everything's going smooth for a while, even though it might be a dumb story. They have it going for about 3, 4, 5 weeks. Then next thing you know, man, they, without an explanation, boom, it's gone. So, so those are kind of things that really tick people off. And what has happened is you have those same fans when they found something else out there that they could gravitate to. They went to that and they locked out the WWE. They locked out the WWE and they started smashing it. Instead of staying loyal to the wrestlers that was over there that they liked, they got loyal to a brand.
But see, it's hard to do that, man. It's hard to do that, man, because you gotta think, man. You gotta think. Who's your all-time favorite wrestler?
Flair.
Okay, let's take Flair. All his accolades, everything he's done. Okay, put him in the WWE. All right, you a hard-up fan for Ric Flair. Anything Flair does, you go. They get him in a storyline. It's going great. You following every week, every day. You on the internet reading about it, everything. And then you, all of a sudden, about 2 months in, they just completely switch it up and be like, okay, Ric Flair, you were wrestling for the title, but today we're gonna put you in a dress and say you gay or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
Okay, now do you think you gonna still follow Ric Flair and they done made a crazy switch or something like that?
I might follow him because, like I say, I continued to follow him when he went to WWE before. I continued to follow him. I always thought they done stupid stuff, man. You know that, Chris. I've always thought they done.
But you see what I'm saying? It's just hard.
I know, but you're not listening to me, man. You're not listening to me. It's kind of like, okay, let's sit there and talk about. I remember when we was talking about one time it was a match that was happening, and I think it was Randy Orton and Riddle, and they was against Randy Orton and Riddle against AJ Styles and Omos. And we were talking about this match, and you said I've seen it so many times before, but still I respect Randy Orton. I still respect his skill and everything like that. So, I was still pumped up to see him, even though I was with you. I seen that match over and over. I'm like, they're recycling this thing over and over. I felt bad for him because I'm telling you, he's not the one that did it. I'm pretty sure Vince sent them on out there again. But these guys are signed to a contract, man. They're signed to a contract, and they're like, get out there and do it anyway. So is Vince actually Vince out there? He's destroying his own brand, man, and it's sad. It's sad because I used to take it out on the wrestlers. I'd be like, man, this wrestler sucked, this wrestler sucked, this wrestler sucked, and then I would look at the wrestlers who came from WCW, or came from Jim Crockett Promotions, or came from somewhere that I knew, and all I did was hang on to the memories of that. And I would say these wrestlers suck because they went over there and they started doing this craziness with that brand, and I started associating those wrestlers with that brand, and I had to sit back and I said, wait a minute now, these guys wasn't like that before. These guys can actually wrestle. So that's the reason why I say, anytime that I'm looking at wrestling now, I go into it, any situation, man, whether it be, from the bottom, from the bottom. I'm just talking about the big two right now: NXT, Raw, SmackDown, AEW, Rampage, and AEW Dynamite. Anytime I go into each one of those situations, I look at the talent of the wrestlers and I think about what they can do with these wrestlers, or what they should do with these wrestlers. I think about the situation and the amazing storylines that they can put together, instead of thinking of everything that's negative. Because but when it boils down to it, both of them doing negative stuff, man.
But I ain't gonna lie, man. But that's just for me personally. That's a hurdle I just can't jump.
Yeah, well,
I try and I try, but it's so glaring.
Yeah,
I can't see past it.
Well, you know what? Let's go ahead and let's be honest, man, about you not being able to see past it. When did you get to the point where you couldn't see past it?
You know what?
I'm
gonna be honest, man. WWE was my thing for a while, and WCW was too. Then WCW years gone, done it, whatever they done with it. I'm gonna put his name out there. Chris Dillsworth, his podcast. He was like, things, WWE's trash, this, that, and the third, whatever, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm listening to his podcast, and I'm just like, okay. He might have some points. So I'm taking in consideration what he's saying. And then I look at the product with a whole different eye. And then I'm seeing all these glaring issues that I've never seen before. And I was like, wow.
Okay, so why didn't you take...
I ain't gonna lie, and it blew my mind too, because I was like, all these years this has been right here, but I couldn't see it. I had my blinders on. I took my blinders off and saw the product for what it was.
How long we've known each other?
Almost 30 years, man.
Yeah. So I dog that product. I always dog that product out to you. Always dogged out WWE, but you never paid attention to it.
I had blinders on, man, but when somebody pointed, I don't know why I guess it was just the way he pointed it out, the issues. And then when I took my blinders off and I saw the product and I saw it right there, and I was like, wow.
And he pretty much said he was a big WWE fan at one time.
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, I go back to what I said to you earlier, man. I said to you a couple days ago. It's some people that really got into. It's some people, and you know this is true. Michael King knows this is true. Caleb knows this is true. Brino knows this is true. There's some wrestling fans out here, man, that's so hardcore wrestling that it gets into their gut, man. It's in their heart. It takes over them. That if you come in there and you take something away from them that they enjoyed so much, and you take it away from them, and you're not running that thing right, and that it just drives them crazy. And the only thing that they can do is go away from that and say, and then when you leave that, it's like, okay, you broke their heart. It's just like breaking up with a girlfriend that you've been with for a long time, and you thought this thing was gonna last forever.
Mm-hmm.
You broke these people's hearts, and man, bam, they went and found something new, and they left you alone, and they left you alone for good. So that's what it is. It's a separation, man.
Now you might want to read Caleb's.
That's what I was looking at earlier. Caleb said AEW has problems as well, as far as workers who lack good psychology, not just during their matches, but all throughout their stories. He's exactly right. You know, but there's people, you know, on this show, and he says, Caleb says, I tried to join you fellas and couldn't figure out how. Laugh out loud. But I love to come on at some point and talk about the current state of wrestling. Oh yeah, we definitely gonna get you on here, Caleb. Sorry that you couldn't get in, but appreciate you talking. You know, conversating with us on the message board.
Now,
you know?
Did you see what Caleb said earlier before AEW had problems? Talking about WWE wants to hire college athletes, football players, and not guys with a love for the business or the knowledge.
Yeah, that's what they said. That's what they said this week. Sure did.
Yeah. And then he gives pitches to guys, and you get invested, and 2 weeks later they fire the guy or kill the story.
Yeah.
And that's what happens, man. Because I'm like, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
Why do you?
It's flat out. It's dumb. Okay. And AEW, I'm not gonna bash it, but I mean, when I look at the two brands, up until a couple weeks ago, and what Caleb just said, man, that right there helps. That definitely helps out some of the things that I think about WWE. Yeah. But I got to the point, man, where I got to the point within the last couple, maybe for a good stretch there, probably about 6 weeks, 7 weeks, I was getting to the point where I liked WWE a little bit better. And not saying that they was great. And remember, I told you I was at a C grade. I was at a C grade for wrestling overall, outside of the indies. Now I love the indies. I love these indie shows that we go. But I got to a C grade. I had and first I had AEW for a long time at a C plus, and I had WWE at a C minus grade. Then I switched it up. And see, one thing that I don't like about AEW, and they changing a lot of this, is because I never saw it was hard to see a finish in a match. I hate that. When you don't have a finish in a match, everybody's getting attacked. Attack. I can't stand that. Stop with the attacks, man. Why in the world do I have to see who's those guys? Adam Page guys. Adam Page guys. The guys.
The Dark Order.
Dark Order. Every time I turn around, and then that joke with that mask out there, and then they go in there, they doing their little kicks or whatever, man. I'm just, and every time I turn around, Jurassic Park or Jurassic Express.
Did you just say Jurassic Park?
Come running out there, man. And then you got Orange Kool-Aid his friends, Orange Kool-Aid guy, Orange Cassidy. They come out there, man, and they running out there to save Orange Cassidy or whatever. So it just, I got so sick of that. I'm like, man, finish the matches. You got so much talent out there. You don't need this all the time. And then he has so much talent. I mean, he has so many people on the roster. 164 guys on the roster. Doesn't make sense. So you're not going to see the same people over and over. You got to build stars. And that right there them not having so many people on the roster is put it to the point where they can't build stars. So I feel bad for a lot of these wrestlers. And then he's bringing in all these WWE people, and he's putting it over to people who actually built the company. So that right there, man, just gives me a negative. Those two things right there, you give me a negative thought on AEW. So I look at AEW, I'm just like, man, But of course, I watch it,
but you know what, man. But you know what, too. Even with this conversation, man, you can even take this over to the indies.
That's true.
Why do fans like this promotion over that promotion?
Yeah,
that's
true.
Why do some fans like HWA over APW? Or why some people like 3 Count over PWF or vice versa?
Some people just loyal to Turbo.
Yeah, exactly.
Flat out loyal to him. Won't go nowhere else.
Yeah, and if you try to, well, I ain't gonna say that, but some, like you said, will defend that brand till the day they die.
Oh yeah.
But then some are very objective and go to all promotions if they can.
Yeah. Right.
But then you have, like I said, that those few that this is all I know, this is all I want. You ain't gonna tell me otherwise, and that's it.
people have lost the joy, and people have lost the joy for pure professional wrestling. That's all it is to it. And see, if you go back to the 80s. I hate to say it, and wrestling is not going to get back to where it was. It's not
Oh,
going to get back to that.
no.
And I hate it for a lot of people, like Caleb. If Caleb was back there back in the days, back in the 80s, man, this right here could have been a lifestyle for him. It could have been his life. You wouldn't have people like Dump Truck who have to work in a restaurant or whatever to make money. Dump Truck could have made, he would have made enough money, to continue his life, and that would have been his lifestyle. I mean, Rocky King, awful wrestler.
But made a lot of money.
He made a lot of money. He got his own little promotion out there. But the Moki brothers and all these guys were pulling in money. And I had a friend of mine who used to work with me at Hardy's, man. I remember when he broke in, he made $100 every time he went. They told him, and that was the less. That was the smallest amount, and that was back in like '89. And $100 was a lot more, worth more than than it is now. But $100 for him and his partner. He had a partner. Everywhere that they went, he got paid $100. Okay, so it just. But that was the difference. He was a manager at Hardy's, and finally he went ahead and quit. This was back in '89. He went ahead and quit, and he got work in Jim Crockett Promotions. He got work in World Class Championship Wrestling. He was getting work in a lot of these different organizations. But he did that for like 6 years. He's a pastor now. But all that stuff started drying up around 94, 93, 94. All the territories started where they started drying up before that. But it dried up. And see, these guys now, man, we know. And these indies, man, they might get a hot dog or whatever. So these people out here, they might get $5. They might get a little bit for gas or whatever. But they're not getting what they should be getting. So, and then like you're saying, you have these people who's loyal to these small brands, man. And are loyal to these little indie organizations. And they might tick off somebody who would have came out with them to watch these guys. So that's taking money away from that organization. But if everybody was into each territory, like I guess you could say territories when you look at the 5 majors or whatever. If everybody was into that, man, it'd be more money for everybody.
Yeah. Now, Caleb,
same thing in the indies.
Now, Caleb says he meant to hit Sin earlier, but AEW is terrible about lazy booking and finishes.
Yes,
It's all hot jump starts and then chaos finishes. But you're right. But you're right about being no money in the business, at least on the indies. Yes. I lose money going to most shows on gas. Is a burglar for me and the lady.
Yeah. I know you do, Caleb. And man, and we appreciate what you do, because man, Chris, the two times that we've seen you, man, we enjoy you, and we enjoy your lady. I know she's your lady. Your manager, and we'll go ahead and Danielle Larkin. We'll go ahead and announce her name on here, man. But man, incredible. So I love everything that I see, and and same thing with Michael King and his guys, man. Brino and all those, man, I enjoy everything, and man, I have 100% respect for everything that you guys are doing, everything that Jay Eagle is doing out there with APW, everything that Boomer and all them out there doing, man, with HPW and Battle Zone and all, and
PWF,
guys,
all of them, man, all those guys,
I enjoy every bit of it, and we appreciate that you trying to give the wrestling fans what they need and what they deserve. Because I know that all you guys out there have looked at the scene and what's going on in wrestling today, and you're trying to give wrestling fans what they desire. But
granted, on the indies, you might make $50. I'm just throwing numbers out. I'm not saying that's what you actually get. You might get $50, but then you got to travel 200 miles with the price of gas. And then you got to eat. You be like, guess this 50 going in my gas tank, and I just have to starve till I get home.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. You love what you do. You
Yeah.
do, because if you didn't love what you do, you guys wouldn't be, putting your body through what you put your body through. Um,
Right. And I agree. I agree with that last statement by Michael King. What he said: a weak finish is usually caused by ego. Heels need to win clean as well as dirty. Yeah.
yeah.
But man, it's just flat out crazy. But when you look at the overall picture of what's going on out here in the business, every single one of these promotions out here have problems, man. They all have their problems.
Oh, of
And
course, of
and
course.
then when you hear somebody actually discuss these problems or actually bring up these problems in each one, then that's when the emotions start, and
Hmm.
people just they get over emotional, and man they go for your throat.
Yeah, because they feel
And
like you bashing their brand.
yeah, and it's not just bashing their brand. I mean, man, you done killed their dog. I mean, this is something that's the way they act, man. Like you don't went into their house and you tried to poison that dog's pedigree. I mean, that you man, you went up there and you saw that doggone Alpo, man. And you took some water and you put too much water in that. But that's the way they act, man. I mean, that's how close wrestling fans are to wrestling. It's like, oh my gosh. And you remember, man, and think back when you was younger, when people would say, it's not real or whatever. I'm pretty sure how
Oh,
emotional you got.
yeah, I was like that because
It would
everybody
tip
was
you
like,
off. It would
yeah,
tip
because
you
I
off.
ain't gonna lie, everybody was like, that ain't real blood, that ain't real blood, that's ketchup.
Right.
And first thing
Right.
I'm like, I didn't see him bring no ketchup bottle out there.
Exactly.
I
But
didn't see no ketchup packets.
yeah, but
How is that not real blood?
yeah, but some wrestling fans, man, have taken this thing, and,
To a
and,
whole
and
nother
most wrestling
level.
fans out there started off when they was young, and they have taken this stuff into adulthood, and
To a
they
whole
taking
and
it so serious
yeah,
that man, it's the most important thing to them. I mean, it beats out everything. It beats out everything.
and
Every sport.
that's when it becomes toxic, man. That's when it
Yeah,
becomes toxic
exactly.
because I'm like, okay, I get it. You get attached.
Mm-hmm.
You get attached, but don't get so attached that you lose sense of reality
Yeah,
and
right.
think that you know, oh, this is my brand. I have something
Mm-hmm.
to do with this. Dude, you can walk up to a security guard that works for WWE. Do you think they're gonna know who you are?
Exactly.
You walk up
Exactly.
to a security agent for AEW New Japan,
Mm-hmm.
and you think they're gonna be like, "Oh, hey, John, how you doing? Good to see you, buddy. Come on
Right.
back."
Oh yeah.
These
And
fools
man,
do not know you from a can of paint.
there's no doubt, man. And I can go back and we talk about brand. Okay, we talk about brands. Okay, we talk about. I'm going back to the territory days. Okay, going back into the '80s. Okay, '80s. Late '70s, early '80s, when you had a bunch of territories.
Yeah.
Okay, Mid Atlantic Championship Wrestling. That was the main one here.
Mm-hmm.
Jim Crockett Promotions. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
and when I was younger, around '77, I think '76, '77, when I first got to see Georgia Championship Wrestling, I'm like, man, I'm excited. I liked it. I was like, this is a good show, but it's not
Mm-hmm.
as good as Mid Atlantic Championship Wrestling. Not quite as good, but it's pretty good. Then I saw Florida Championship Wrestling like a year later in like '78. I'm like, man, this is a good show. Florida Championship Wrestling, pretty good, but it wasn't as good as Georgia Championship Wrestling. But I could live with that. Then went on and then WWE came. WWE, which was WWF at that time. Vince Senior was able to get his show in syndication, where you can see that some here, and plus USA came in like in 1980 or either '81, and then you got to see that too. Great brand. So I watched all those. I watched every single one of them. Anything that came on. Then Continental Wrestling came down here in the Southwest out of Texas, which was really good. I'm like, man, this is some good stuff. But and then Vince, and you remember that you had Black Saturday or whatever you want to call it, when he bought the Georgia Championship Wrestling rights. He bought Ted Turner, and then he got on there, and I'm like, wow. But this is after he had changed it, and it became Hulk Hogan, became a lot of the gimmicky wrestling, a lot of the cartoonish stuff. I didn't want to watch that, so I was pretty upset that he was on that channel, and then all I could see was Mid Atlantic Championship Wrestling. But still, I would go over to WCW and I would watch it every now and then. I was, because I wanted to see what was going on. I didn't hate it that much. I didn't hate it. I was just like, that's not really my style.
Yeah.
But every single one of those businesses, if Mid Atlantic was taken off the air, I was able to go over and watch one of those other shows and didn't have no problem with it. So it's when you came down with WCW and WWE, and then you had the war there. Now, at first, I was switching back and forth. I didn't mind because I wanted to see what was going on. And then they put it on the Monday Night Raw, and then the heads started going at each other. Really, Vince really wasn't going at it with Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff went out to Vince. So, so then that's when it started getting toxic. And people started having a choice. And I think WCW fans, which pretty much you might as well say that was Jim Crockett. That was Jim Crockett Promotions and Georgia Championship Wrestling, which that right there was people that merged from UWF, which was Mid-South, Mid Atlantic Championship Wrestling and Georgia Championship Wrestling and Florida Championship Wrestling. All that stuff engulfed together, and all those fans, they went out there because WWE pretty much went in and started taking over territories. They all went at WWE fans and say, "Aha, we got you." Because a lot of people out here, they think that WCW didn't start taking over until when Hogan came and when the Outsiders and all that. But man, they was competitive right off the bat because the first Nitro only lost by 200,000 fans to the WWE. It was 2.6 to 2.8 or something like that. And then the next week it was like 2.5 to 2.7. But they was competitive right off the bat. And then it went like the 2.4 to 2.6, whatever. They was competitive right off the bat. And then Hogan, when he brought in Hall and Nash, that's when it took off. That's when he took over. But it was always competitive. Both of them was going head to head, and they both got about the same amount of fans. But when they got competitive, all these people that the casual fans joined in, and then you had people that who had stopped watching wrestling, they all came back, and everybody was saying, "Okay, now we got a brand. Now y'all have to compete with a real." Because you have to compete with a real wrestling organization that's money behind it. Because WCW was trying to compete with it without Ted Turner's money behind it. Because those people before Eric Bischoff, nobody went to Ted and said, "Ted, we need money to compete with these guys." Ted just kept doing it the way he was doing it and just putting the show on. So
now Michael said that's politics. So stuck on the party that you're happy about something they did, but angry when another party does it. It happens all the time, and you'll see it when you step back and put emotions aside.
Mm-hmm.
But see, that's the thing, Michael. That's what I did. That's what pisses me off about Monday Night Raw. I had to take my blinders off, and then it was like he just put it out there. Chris just put it out there so plain, and I was like thinking, let me really, really, really look at this thing. And I started looking at it. And I was like, oh my God. This is pure garbage. And I'm just being honest. And I quit being a fan and really start being a analytical critic. And that's how I had to look at it, man. That's why I'm like, and see, and that's why you like Harry. You always tell me you used to be a fan. I can't be a fan no more. I've crossed that line. I try to be a fan of it, but because I know what they're gonna do, and it just like why do I even want to build myself up to get let down?
Right. Well, see, that's the same thing we're talking about, and and then you go back and you talk about Heels for Life. This is where you got all this stuff from, and Heels for Life was on there talking about it. Why is everybody so toxic? They were saying, why is all these fans so toxic, and why is everybody so loyal to a brand? But that's where you got it from. And see, and now fans are asking, and I've seen, it's not just their podcast. There's a lot of podcasts out there right now. They're saying, why everybody loyal to a brand and everybody, but it's these podcasts out here that built up this. They built up the frustration in the fans. They open people like you. They open their eyes. So when you sit there and you look at something on the screen for hours and hours, and just like Michael said, it's politics. Like if you sit there and you watch CNN all day, your view is going to be only on one side. You sit there and look at Fox all day, your view is only going to be one-sided. So it's the same thing, man. Like Michael said, it's politics. So you're gonna get political, and you're gonna stick with that. If somebody's sitting there screaming, okay, you like their podcast because they was talking about wrestling, so you sat there and you sit there and you just viewing, and all this stuff just continue to come into your head. It's just like saying, okay, because you love ODB from Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah.
Now, Wu-Tang Clan, I like Wu-Tang Clan. ODB, I like some of his stuff, like especially what's the song? What is the song he did with Nas Girl?
Oh, I Got Your Money.
Yeah, I Got Your Money.
With Khalees, yeah.
But what's the song? You love Shimmy Shimmy,
Yeah, Shimmy Shimmy Ya, and I love Brooklyn Zoo.
That song is okay. You think that's one of the greatest songs ever. The song is okay. But if I'm sitting there and I'm just bashing ODB all the time, Chris, this suck. He suck, man. Wu-Tang is trash, man. Everything they talk about don't make no sense. All these guys, all they do is open up a doggone rhyme notebook, man, and they got good lyrics, man, but the songs don't make no sense. They make no sense. I mean, they have no structure to them. If I sat there and you listened to me daily talk about this, just bash this over and over, every album they come out with, man, I was just bashing that. Then after a while, you go sit there, you're gonna look at it at a different, instead of us being a fan, you're gonna sit there and you're gonna start evaluating this whole situation. Same thing with LL Cool J, man. I did the same thing with him. But anything that you look at that you enjoy, if somebody sits there and they continue to bash that thing over and over, and you watch it, or you sit there and you listen with open ears of somebody bashing that all the time, you're gonna have a negative experience. And then it's hard to go back. And become a fan again of that thing. It's kind of like when Kumo D came out there and Kumo D battled LL Cool J. Everybody dogged LL Cool J. Cool J at one point he was the greatest rapper. Everybody he's the greatest rapper of all time. But when Kumo D got a hold of him with that song "Let's Go," he ate him up, and then everybody said Cool J was a weak lyricist. He was weak, and then so everybody started looking at Rakim, Big Daddy Kane, and things like that. So I'm just using this because this is something that you know rap music. Yeah. So everybody started looking at him like that, and then he became trash. So anything, man. And I've seen it with rock music. I've seen it with TV shows, man. I've seen so many things, man, where people just say, okay, this thing is trash, man, because people got on a tangent, and it's just like, oh my gosh, man, it's crazy.
But like crazy. I said, man, I try to go back to being a fan, and I just can't do it because
you can't, because you have a negative connotation about it, man.
But even if I didn't, and I came to my own opinion, I know they're gonna go back to that same old BS. Yeah, they're gonna be like, oh, they pushing him, they pushing. Oh yeah, they pushing him. His story makes sense. It's all this and all that. Next week they doing some crazy evening gown on a pole match with two men or something stupid. I'm like, what? Wait, what?
Yeah,
just random.
Yeah. Michael said wrestlers do it to themselves. Also, they get mad after a match, complaining it didn't make any sense, but they think it's fine when they go over when it doesn't make sense. Blinders. Yeah, I mean, sometimes the wrestlers are to blame too, man. I mean, it's just flat. It's flat crazy, and you have to have. I mean, think back to the old days, Chris. I mean, and we just don't have those kind of promoters like we had back in the day.
No,
the promoters back in the day, they didn't put up with no foolishness, man.
No,
wrestling stayed wrestling. And it's just like, and one thing I will say about HWA, you go in there, it's a wrestling show. It's wrestling. And Danny, like Danny says, they are consistent. Be consistent. So, I mean, that's what I want to see. And if I saw that in every single territory or every indie promotion, then man, I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna find something that I can enjoy from that promotion. And that's how it used to be. I walk in there, and that was something different. Any promotion that you went into back in the day, from different parts of the country, there was something different about them. But now, man, I mean, it was something different about it.
Scott brought up a good point. He's like, okay, tell me how many matches have you watched on Raw that you could call before it even happens? Some wrestlers doing the same moves all the time.
That's true, Scott.
I can.
The majority of them.
Anything with, I say this right now, anything with AJ Styles and Omos.
Yeah, definitely.
That's an easy call.
Yeah.
Anything with Randy Orton and Riddle.
Yeah.
I can call that.
Yeah.
I mean, because you can look at what they're doing with the characters. You can already see what they're doing with it. So that's gonna bleed over into the match. And then
but I mean, when it boils, but then you got to look at AEW. Some of them matches the same way. You can see what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen, and because they want to get certain wrestlers over. But in the wrestlers that they don't want to get over, or they're confused about, they're not sure about, it's always going to be an attack at the end. It's always going to be an attack going on.
Oh boy, Michael just said there's too much wrestling now. Yes, the quality is diluted.
Yes.
Back in the day, he would probably be unemployed.
Yeah. Man, there's so many wrestlers now, man. The indie scene is huge. It is huge.
It's taking off, man. In the words of your boy Cameron Grimes, it's going straight to the moon.
Yeah, straight to the moon, man. We gotta see what we can do to make this promotion go straight to the moon. I don't care if it started in somebody's backyard, like CMW, man. We gotta walk up into Octavia's up into his yard, man, and say, we gonna see what we can do to take this straight to the moon. And then if somebody got something to say, we say, kiss our grits, man. Kiss my grits.
Man, but yeah, man,
all over the place, man. Wrestling is just everywhere now, and like I was saying to Chris, I'm not sure because I haven't checked WWE, but AEW with 164 males on their roster, man, that is ridiculous. That is ridiculous, and they only have 3 hours of TV time. Not enough. And Brian Cage's wife, man. She went off on Tony Khan about her husband not getting TV time, man. She wanted him on TV more. He said, hold on. We're gonna, but it ain't much he can do.
Now Scott said, not to cut you off, but Scott said, I mean, what happened to locals wrestling, top-notch stars, and the two big stars don't touch each other until the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's because what you have now is you have fans, that's all they want to see is their stars. They want to see their stars. And wrestling have been forced now. As far as the big promotions, they have been forced to make everybody a star. Everybody come out there, they're trying to make them a star. It's not going to happen. You got to have some people where they're not stars, and you got to have some people that are stars, but you have to have these other people. You got to have your Rocky Kings. You got to have your Mike Smiths. You got to have people like that. You just do. Go ahead. What's that?
Oh my God.
People with 30 seconds of training
Michael. Yeah, Michael said people with 30 seconds of training are making themselves the top guys in their own little indie promotion.
We know what you're talking. We know what you're talking about, Michael. we know what you're talking about, but we're not going to stay on that too long, Chris.
No,
I got a little smile on your face. I'm getting a little smile on my face because I think I know who he's talking about, but he ain't the only one that's doing that, Michael. But Michael's 100% right, man. But you go to the bigger promotions, Then you have people that have egos the size of the moon, man. You know, size of the sun. I mean, and man, I'm just like, man, it's crazy, man. It's crazy. But
it's
and then you can't
wrestling. I'm gonna say this, and I believe this to be facts, 1000%. The wrestling business as a whole, if you're a fan or a performer or whatever, it is and can be a very, very toxic environment.
Yes.
Because you will end up believing your own hype.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a level head and a even keel personality, you're going to be one or the other.
Yeah.
You're going to be one extreme or the other. Now, there are few people that are in the business that are level-headed, king, still down to earth and everything, but then you got some that just they believe their own hype, and like I said, it's wrestling, it's the wrestlers, promoters. It happens.
Yeah,
wrestling can be a very toxic business.
Yeah, well, man, I don't know, man. I hate to say, man, it's just, I don't find it just with wrestling fans, but I find it with wrestlers, like you say, promoters too. Because some of these people that become promoters and become wrestlers, they was fans before. So I mean, and these people, man, they just got there's something off in their head. It's not saying they're not good people, because wrestling fans are very good people.
Yeah,
people that very good people as far as you want to get into the crowd with them and mix with them, man. Very good people, love it, and want you to love it just as much as they do.
Exactly.
But every wrestling fan out there think that you like what they like. As far, and then when they find out you don't like it, oh my gosh, man,
you public enemy number one, man.
Huh?
You public enemy number one.
Yeah, the world done ended. So I mean, you can't say you can't say you don't like this certain wrestler. It might be their favorite wrestler. Could be somebody that just you think is trash. So you really have to watch what you say to people, man, as far as who their wrestler is and everything. You never know. So when I go to a show, man, I don't say if I hate somebody or not, when I used to go to the big shows. But people, man, can get a little nutty when it comes to wrestling, man.
Like I said, people they just need to get over themselves, quit being soft, quit being freaking soft, quit being so damn PC. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But other people are entitled to their opinions. If you don't like it, oh well. But see, if you want to push the envelope and you get what's coming to you, you brought it on yourself.
Yeah. I tell you what, man, it mimics real life. I mean, wrestling is mimics life.
It does. It really does.
But wrestling is on a little bit higher level. And this is nothing new. But the thing about it is, I think promoters back in the day and people that ran the show back in the day, they was a little more, cognitive on this. They knew what was going on a little bit more than what a lot of promoters know now.
They had their fingers on the pulse.
Yes, they did, and they ran it. And when wrestling was on the marquee, it was wrestling, and they knew exactly what to do to where they could keep people's emotions in check. I mean, so you didn't have the toxic situation that you have now, and people would want to see these guys that people from the South, they wanted to see Bruno Sammartino. People from people from up north, they wanted to see the Road Warriors. So I mean people on the West Coast, man, people from here, we wanted to see Vern Gagne. People from the West Coast, they wanted to see a Ricky Steamboat or somebody like that. So it was great that wrestling fans was wrestling fans. So people got charged up for wrestling, man. And they was like, oh man, I can't wait. I can't wait to see the Von Erichs. They never come into my, they dominated Texas, but people wanted to see them in other parts of the world. And
Exactly.
people were so happy to see that. We was happy when we saw wrestlers from Japan. And we knew that Australia had wrestling down there, Stampede wrestling from Calgary,
Yep.
in Canada and things like that. We was happy to see that. So it was so great, man. People would, people didn't just stick, even though I was a Mid-Atlantic fan and stuff like that, I didn't go out and just brag about, Mid-Atlantic Championship wrestling.
That was like me, man. I was so happy when when I found out WWE actually came to Greenville.
Yeah, I know.
I was like,
but
what? Because I was like,
if you know how long it took them, and that's another question. Do you think they're gonna sell out the third?
No.
They never. I don't think they've ever sold out in Greenville.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have.
They have.
They have.
Okay.
It was back during the Ruthless Aggression era.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah, Ruthless Aggression era when The Rock was still actually wrestling and everything.
Oh yeah, well
and Stone Cold. Oh yeah, Rock's been there a couple times.
No wonder. Yeah, they can sell it. And they was bringing Flair too up. I remember they was bringing Flair to shows up there too. Anytime Flair could walk into the Greenville Auditorium now, you could put on an APW show there and say Ric Flair's gonna be there, and 5,000 people gonna show up easy. So say Flair and Sting gonna be there. You got 10,000 people in the building. That's just how crazy people are in Greenville about Ric Flair. WCW was that first, the second. It was the second show that was in that arena. When they had Monday Nitro and they sold 16,000 fans. Boom, sold it out. So anytime Flair's in the building, man, I don't care if he's in the building in Greenville or Charlotte, man. Especially in Greenville, it's going to be a sellout. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
So,
Michael said promoters back in the day loved the business. Today, there's a passion for wrestling. A passion burns hot and fast, but doesn't endure. Love does. Wrestling is a 15-minute activity while business endures year over year.
I agree.
Wow.
Yeah, no doubt. Very wise saying there. Very wise saying. He's exactly right.
Yeah, I will.
Exactly right.
I cannot even disagree with that.
Yeah, but Chris, I'm gonna let man. We're gonna end this show.
Yeah, on that one. Yeah. On that note,
you're on YouTube. Yeah, Michael, we appreciate that, man. We're gonna end the show on that. Nothing else really to say. This is a topic maybe later on we'll discuss. We'll see how the business, progress from here, and see if wrestling fans get a little bit better, man. If people actually start getting along, man, we don't know what the state of the business is in right now.
It's like wrestling segregation or something, man.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
If you're on Facebook, man, hit that like, share. If you come in later and see this thing, hit that like, share. You're on YouTube, hit that like, share, that notification bell.
Subscribe.
Subscribe, man, and we really appreciate it. And just be straight up and be the best wrestling fan that you can be.
Yeah.
All we can really say.
And please don't be toxic, because I hate for you to get what's coming to you. It may not be. I would hate for somebody to be like, man, I got beat up at a show because I was expressing my opinion.
Yeah.
Hey, you might have told the wrong person at the right time.
That's it. Have a good evening.
All right.
Straight Up Wrestling Show. We're out of here.
Peace.